Hi friends, it's Chrissy with Pink Garnet Vintage and More with my husband Greg. We're coming at you live from my mother's living room. It's versus being dead, we're live, get it? Right. No pun intended. But anyway, so it's been a long day for us. We actually went to an auction today close to my mother's house. Probably not even 5 miles away. It's one that we attend usually yearly. It's a benefit for a church organization, and it's huge. It's a consignment auction, so it's one of our favorites. But anyway, so we're staying out here with Mom to checking out this auction. But anyway, we wanted to do a little video and talk to you about sourcing at auctions, right?
All right.
So we are fans of auctions. We've been doing them for years, and they're a great place to source for products for both in our antique mall and the eBay store. Both great sources, and I think a lot of people overlook them. We personally love auctions, and we're going to do more videos talking about them. Hopefully we'll make some tonight yet if I can keep them from falling asleep or slipping into a coma. But anyway, we just wanted to talk to you about sourcing at auctions. So first and foremost, you can look up the auctions in your area by auction companies, or you can go to Auction Zip, and there's usually auctions all over the place. Now, some people shop at auctions online, which that's a whole nother world. We want to talk about live auctions, right?
Right. That's
our favorite thing to do. Why do you, just before we go into the real sourcing, why is it one of your favorite things?
Well, I mean, there's multiple things. And I mean, just as far as the auction itself, I have found personally that is a huge revenue producer. I mean, on multiple levels, because just like you say, there's things that we can sell in the store, there's things that we can sell online. So, I mean, it has proven time and time again, it's just a huge revenue producer. But the main thing is that it's kind of puts you into a whole nother world. Not to get into the song or anything. When I'm at an auction, I am just completely focused at the task at hand. I don't like to be bothered. I am focusing on what I'm there to do, and
not to cut you off, but we're going to get into that hopefully in another video here.
Okay.
So I did cut them off, but not on purpose. So anyway, so sourcing at auctions. So tying into kind of what you said, so it's about, you can find great deals because you said it's a huge revenue producer.
Yes. You
can find amazing bargains and buys at auctions. Now, sometimes not, but majority of the time, I would say 9 out of 10 of the auctions we go to, we score big.
Right, and we'll talk more later about how that can go the opposite way. But I mean, you can find things that the average person just either they don't know about, they don't care about. But if you know what you're looking at, you've done research, you can find something and you can get it for $1, because
or less.
Nobody knows anything about it. And you're just like, man, I mean, we need to make videos of that, or
we
you
should have
just
done
get
a video
something
today, but we weren't.
We should do that, where you just find something, you're like, I got this for $1. Nobody wanted anything to do with it. Yeah. And actually, and a lot of times they'll throw multiple things into a pile because nobody's bidding on it. They'll say, they'll throw something up.
And when that happens, you'll learn as you do auctions. And by the way, if you go to auctions and you love them, put in the comments below, love auctions. If you like them, put like auctions. And if you've never been, then just keep watching the video, hit the thumbs up, and hopefully we'll teach you something. And we'll have more to come tonight, hopefully. But in reference to that is that he's talking about when you're at the auction, they'll be holding up items, and then you need to take a deep breath before each item, because they always start high. Like, say they're holding up a crock pot, and they'll start at $30. Just take a deep breath and wait, because if nobody bids on it, they keep dropping it. And they'll drop it down until somebody bids. Sometimes it's $1. Sometimes they'll start throwing more stuff together. Hold out, wait for the crowd. Hold out so you can get as much stuff in it as you possibly can. And some people are afraid of that. They're like, well, I don't want all that stuff. Yes, you do. Because you don't know what hidden gems that they're like bunching together. Especially if you're new, they may be bunching in stuff that's really valuable that they don't know. They're just in a hurry. They're tired. They just want to get it over with, whatever. Let them pile as much stuff on. And if nobody's still bidding, put $1. Even if the auctioneer's not at $1, you can speak up and say $1, and he'll like $1. And usually then they'll go 1, 2, 3, sold, because they want to move on to the next thing.
Well, and something I want to add to that too, that is just as long as, just like she was saying, they'll hold something up, they'll hold up a main item, and then they'll tell the guys, just go down, throw in that next box here. Okay, well, they'll throw up a box, and they may go a couple things that are in the box, it's this and that, and then they throw that in there, and then finally they get a bid. Let's just say, okay, so you say, okay, I'll give you $250 for it. Well, then you get it back, and you start digging into this box, and there's something in the bottom of that box that they didn't even know about.
They didn't even show you.
Yes,
and all of a sudden,
and you're just like, holy cow, I didn't realize that was even in the box. And so basically it was a bonus.
Yeah. One of the gals that works for us in the antique mall, she got a box of stuff that they kept doing that, and she got a box at an auction for $1, a whole pile of stuff. And there ended up being 2 gold teeth in there. I know, crazy, right? She was freaked out at first, but then she's like, cha-ching, and she went and had it checked out, and it was real gold. So, but that was just like little stuff. But you never know what you're going to find in some of these boxes.
There's always that aspect.
Yeah, so don't rule anything out. So just play the game, let them go down, and then if somebody does make the first bid, don't be afraid to go up if you're willing to spend that. And then that goes into doing your homework and knowing products. You kind of need to have an idea of what the going rate is and what you're going to be willing to spend on items. Of course, when they're getting down to the nitty gritty and just bunching stuff together for $1 or $2, at that point it shouldn't matter. You should just like go for it and see what you got. We'll get stuff, and if it's stuff, we'll go through it, and sometimes you get trash, but most of the time we get stuff that we can donate. We know somebody can use it. We can upcycle it, or we sell it in the antique mall. Can't talk. It's been a long day. Or at our flea markets, or at our eBay store. So there's lots of ways to get rid of it. And in our antique mall, we see dealers all the time make like $600, $700, $800 a month selling $2 and $3 items. And it's like, so don't rule out smalls that you don't know anything about or common household items. Just be very open-minded, but know what your range is. But if you get a whole bunch of stuff for $1 or $2 and you can turn around and flip that, for 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks, that's money that you had or didn't have, and it's a bonus.
Yeah, don't ever think that you won't ever. It's happened so many times that you've gotten something for $1 or $2, and it's just been an incredible windfall. I mean, like, do you want to talk about like taking a leap of faith on things, like not knowing what you got, or do you want to save that for later?
No, you might as well.
I mean, well, like I have bid on things that I've had really no idea. They'll throw something. You
trusted your gut.
Yeah, like you just think, it seems kind of interesting. Nobody's really bidding on it. I don't really know anything about it, but it just kind of seemed interesting. I'm like, okay, whatever, and I'll just take it for $2.50 or whatever. And then you get it back.
$2.50, he means.
Right, and then you get it back, and you start doing research on it. And I think that what was it, like the drive-in thing? It's going for $40, $50.
Oh, today he found an old vintage toy. We'll have to put a picture of that up. And he got it for how much?
$2.50. $2.50.
Yeah, and he looked up and it was like $40.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that was one being sold for parts, and his is in better condition than that. He didn't know. He just trusted his gut instinct. So knowledge is first and foremost power, but trust in your instinct, and you'll get better at that the more you go and do and observe. And if you're on the fence and you're not quite sure, go to some auctions. Just stand back and just see what things go for and talk to other dealers, because there's always going to be at least one dealer, if not more, at every auction. So you can, before or after, please don't go up and talk to dealers during the auction, because there's nothing more frustrating than when you're there to source and buy stuff and people come up and want to have a long, drawn-out conversation with you. That's awful, and that's totally disrespectful. So please don't do that to anybody that's at an auction. There's always plenty of space takers and time wasters at auctions, but we're there to do business, and our business is keep an eye on the prize of the items, and we get totally engrossed with that. And that's why we wear hats when we go to auctions, to not look around, to keep our eyes focused on the product, also to help identify each other. And also we found by wearing hats or something loud and obnoxious, you get the auctioneer's attention. And that's a good thing, because especially if it's a big crowd, they are keeping an eye on you. And especially after you bid a couple things a couple times, they start looking at you first and foremost. So
sure,
there is a method to the madness, but wear something loud and obnoxious. Like I got this flamingo sweatshirt on and a crazy vest and this, I think it's a peacock scarf, and my fluffy soft pink hat, and he had a fluorescent green jacket. So we try to do that for multiple reasons, but that is one, to stay focused on the item and in tune with the auctioneer. While I'm talking about that, I want to mention that when you have an auctioneer and his helper writing the stuff or holding the stuff up, the products, wherever that all is going on, that's called a ring. And sometimes you go to auctions, large auctions usually, they'll have multiple rings. So if you've never been to an auction, it can be intimidating and overwhelming, but we recommend that you go early. And every auction gives you the opportunity to go early and walk around and check out the product. Right. And that is critical, because even if you've been doing this as long as we have, you'll still make mistakes. Like my husband had a learning curve today again. It happens. But this one was such a huge auction that he couldn't get everywhere. And by the time he got to this one area, he bid on a dresser. And he ended up getting it, but it was so far back in the crowd that he didn't see all the imperfections of it. So when he got up there after buying it, he was kind of disappointed. But if you can go to an auction and skim and source the area and look at the products, especially with smalls, you'll know. And sometimes, like he mentioned earlier, when they hold up a box of stuff, they don't know if there's gold teeth or something in there. But if you walked around and you identified something, then when they're holding that box up, you know in your mind, how much am I going to spend on that because I saw 2 gold teeth.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, and also to get back, with that, this particular auction had 4 rings, like she had mentioned. So we were bouncing around. Okay. So the problem with that is that you don't have a good position. Okay, because you're at one ring and then you're leaving and you're going somewhere else. Well, by the time you get back to that ring again, there could be so many people that you just can't get in there. And then that's where basically I was in trouble. I was far back in the back of the group. I bid on something, didn't realize the condition of it. But anyway, I think we're still going to be okay on it. But that is the downfall of it. Especially when you have multiple rings going on and you're trying to bounce around and get to different things, because obviously you can't be in multiple places all at once. So
right. But that is one good thing when you have a team or a partner that you can do it with, is that you can all separate and have a game plan on where you're going to go, what you're looking for, and that type of thing.
We'll talk more about that.
Yeah, we'll do that in another video too. But there's a lot of great sourcing to be there. And another thing is, this has happened to us over and over and over again, that we've bought something, somebody's came up to us later at the auction saying, I seen that you bought that. I was here to buy that, and I got distracted, went to the bathroom, ate a hot dog, whatever their excuse is. Are you willing to sell that?
It's happened to me the auction before. I purchased something. Somebody came up to me and said, I was waiting for that. I had to go to the restroom. I came back and it was gone. Are you willing to sell that to me? I actually ended up selling it to them for cash, more than what I paid for it. I didn't have to haul it. Okay. Instant money. Instant. Okay. Today. Okay. And this is twofold. I bought a basket full of wooden baseball bats. Okay. Somebody was bidding on them. Didn't get it. I get it. She came up to me. She wanted to buy one of the bats out of it. Now, here's the problem is that the reason why this is a twofold situation is because it's also taking me away from the next item that's being forbid. And this is what we are talking about. I don't like to be distracted. You know, I'm there, I'm focused, and now I have somebody that's wanting to buy something, and I'm worried about the next item that's coming up for bid. She's wanting to do business with me, so now I'm at a kind of at a crossroads, you know. So, you know, I ended up selling the bat, but there again, I made money. Okay, I didn't have to haul it.
But you missed out on maybe something
I missed
else.
out. So, you know, but it's one of those things. Those things can happen, though.
Yeah.
You can make money right on the spot.
All the time.
And therefore, and that's another thing. You don't even have to move it.
Yeah. And to add to that, last year at this same auction place, I lost my mind and bought all kinds of amazing things because they were so cheap. And anyway, I bought, I think, 28 vintage and antique solid wood mix match dining room, kitchen, barn chairs, all different kinds. They were amazing. I bought a whole lot. And I think 3 or 4 different women came up to me wanting to buy those. And I went like this. I'm like, see me after the auction. See me after the auction. See me after the auction. And do you know what? Every single one of them came up to me after the auction. And I think it ended up, I bought them for 75 cents or $1 a chair. Solid wood, old chairs in great condition. And because I knew of some of these women or knew somebody that knew these women, they were familiar people to me. I sold each one of them for $7 or $8 a piece. They were thrilled. I didn't have to move them. And I had a little bit extra cash in my pocket. So it was really a win-win. There was another time, I shouldn't go on and on, but just this one more story with this. There was another time I was at an auction years and years ago. And I bought these 2 giant concrete statues like that go at the end of your driveway. I was there with my friend Christy and her mom. I had no need or purpose for them, but they were so cool and I got them so cheap that I could not leave them. And now, mind you, we had no physical way of moving these things. They were so big and heavy. And we were joking about that. Kind of, and I'm kind of freaking out inside at the time, but I loved them and they were so cheap. Anyway, a guy comes up to me, much older than me at the time, and came up and was like, hey, did you buy those? And I said, yeah. He goes, are you willing to sell them? And I'm like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. And this is, you know, early in my career doing this auction business. And I think that I bought them both for $20 for the pair. I think that's what they were. And I sold them for $200 for the pair on the spot. Didn't touch them, didn't move them. So that was like so early in my career that it was one of those like, yeah, keep going.
It's a defining moment. It was probably, motivating.
Yeah. Right. So I really did like those stupid things. But hey, the money sounded way better. But anyway.
And that's what it's about. I mean, that's what you're there for.
Right. But I don't think there's anything wrong with being like, see me at the end of the auction. Because people should respect that you're there to buy and pay attention to the auction. And if they don't, too bad, because you know you're going to sell your product anyway. But I think that's just a good way of doing business. And like I said, don't disturb people at an auction buying. You're going to have your people that are there just to socialize and gawk and take up space. But you just got to say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm here to get these products. And you may have to say that 500 times to different people, but eventually they'll get the point, especially as they see your pile mound. So that's just some little nuggets that we're getting off on a rant. But there's so much good sourcing at auctions. You can get stuff that you had no idea. You can get unique, one-of-a-kind things, especially if you're into vintage and old stuff. They're absolutely amazing, but we've been to some that have had a lot of new stuff too. It really, really just depends, but it's nice if you can look up, see what auctions are going in your area that day, and then go through them and see what might have things that you're interested in and go check them out. Like I said, you're not always gonna be able to get everything that you want at your set price, but they're still good.
Yeah, and I think, and just like that, I think that there's multiple avenues with this auction thing. It's not only to make money, but then you can also find things that maybe you just like. I mean, just things that maybe you haven't been able to find anywhere else that you just want personally,
And sometimes can get like pennies on the dollar for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I mean, there's times that I've walked away with things that I've had no intentions on selling, that I'm just like, this thing is so freaking awesome, that I was so excited about bringing it home that I just like, so I think that's another aspect of it, is that you may run into something that you're just like, I'm keeping this. I have no intentions of ever selling it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you learn as you go, But yeah, so definitely check out sourcing, talk to people before or after auctions. You'll learn a lot about the items. I've been to auctions in the beginning when I'm walking around looking at things, and I'll be like, what is this? And sure enough, somebody around me will say, well, that's a blah, blah, blah. So I've learned a lot about products from that. And
you can learn from other people.
One thing... Years and years ago, I went and there were these metal, they look like flat shoes, and then a stand. I wish I had one here to show you, but I never had seen one, and they were cast iron. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are these things? And this old guy was standing right behind me, and he just like, oh, well, that's, what they used to size shoes and make them back in the old days and wrap their leather. And he told me a whole history while I was standing there looking at other things. So most of the people at auctions are amazing. They are friendly. They want to help you. They're interesting and talkative. There's always a dishonest person or two in the crowd, but that happens everywhere, it seems. Yeah. But for the most part, people are great. And then I want to say, getting back onto the agenda, I want to say stay to the end if you absolutely can help it, because we have gotten so many more amazing deals by staying to the end of auctions, because mostly the crowd dies down. Auctions aren't for the weak or lighthearted. You got to get there early and you got to stay there late.
Yeah, and
to get the best deals.
Yeah, to add to that, so basically what happens is, people are tired because they've been there all day since early in the morning. A lot of times people have gotten what they're there to get, because they've already researched things. Because
most of the regular consumers are there just for one or two things.
Right, and then so basically, then once you get down towards the end of the day, the crowd has dissipated. And deals would be had.
Yeah. And we have been given so many things by staying to the end, either by the auction company or by other dealers. I literally have had other people, either other consumers or dealers, be at auctions and be like, I bought this lot and I don't want any of this other stuff. I just wanted this one can.
That's true.
Do you want it? Always say yes. Don't be like, well, let me go through it. Take it, go through it later. Because you don't know what they might be overlooking. If you happen to see a gem and you overreact, they might change their mind.
Yeah, that's true, because there's times that, well, a lot of times, we buy so many things and it takes us a long time to load everything up, that we're a lot of times we're the last ones there. I mean, most of the time,
the auction company is going like,
yeah.
Hurry up. They help us load because they want us out.
There are things that people leave because just like she said, they may only be interested in one thing and they've got a whole lot of stuff. They take that one thing and they're gone and they leave everything else behind. So that's another advantage is that you basically have your pick. I mean, you can take things that they just leave behind and that, you can look and be like, well, I can either donate that or make money off of that or whatever, And the thing is, I don't know if you want to get into making money, a buck is a buck type thing, or, we can talk about that later. But everything's worth something. And, it just kind of depends on how much you're wanting to, how much time you want to put into it. But.
Right. And I would say on most items that we buy or get at auctions, we probably can triple our money, if not more, on most of them. I would say that that's the case. And we personally buy big furniture because we sell a lot of big furniture at our antique mall. And we buy a lot of rustic barn doors, country doors, fencing, iron wheels, wood wheels, anything, big, rustic, farmhouse, anything. I remember one time I bought 4 gigantic rolls of wooden snow fence, if you know what that stuff is. I didn't know what they were. They were just laying sideways, and it just looked like bundles of wire and stick wood wrapped. And I think I gave $1 for a pallet of 4 rolls of this stuff, and it was the old stuff. And I think I sold those for $60 a roll. Nice. So, you don't know, but whatever that is, $1 for 4 rows, and I sold them for $60 a roll. You can do the math because I don't do that. But I just know that I made money. So that's really at the end of the day what I cared about. But you can also do smalls, and we buy a lot of smalls that we put on eBay, and then the junk or the things we don't want to put on eBay or in the antique mall, we'll sell at our flea markets. So, and then if we take it for probably 2 or 3 flea markets and it doesn't sell, we usually donate it, or scrap it if it's metal. But we don't really do too much of that because we buy right, I guess is what I would say. Well,
and the thing is too, is that, and something I want to interject, I got to thinking about this a while back. And I kind of revisited it again today because I was hearing some other people talking. Some people get wrapped up into this whole thing about, and I understand that, your time is worth something. Time is money.
Yes, absolutely.
But the thing is that when you start looking at, okay, how much are you paying for the product? How much profit can you make off of it? But then once you start factoring in, yeah, but I was at the auction the entire day today, and, I had to move it, I have to clean it, and that type of thing. But you can't really look at it like that because the thing is that if you enjoy doing it...
Which we do.
Yeah, if you enjoy doing it and you're getting something out of it, it's not really work. So I don't really factor that into it. I don't factor my time into it because it's enjoyable to be.
But he does make money because, like I said, even the wood fencing, if you figure we paid 25 cents a roll and we sold them for $60, that was one item, so it's amazing. If I told you, and I should have brought a list of what we can make, but just to say on a small scale, say we spend $200 at an auction, we probably will make $4,000 profit off of that $200. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that's about an average for us because we buy it right at the auctions. If we go to the auctions and people are losing their mind and bidding crazy amounts
about that
and a different one, yeah. If they're doing that, then we just walk away. And that will happen. But if you are there and deals are going, they're just going to get better as the day goes. We do really well at auctions. So, I I definitely would encourage you to go check it out and try it. You basically need to check with each auction company, does it a little bit different, but most of them are free to go to. You just need to usually bring a driver's license because they use that when they issue you a number. So when you get to the auction, first go find the auctioneer stand, get your number, and that's your bidding number. You'll have to show them your driver's license, and they do that in exchange so you don't steal somebody else's number and bid up and all that. So at the end of the auction, then you'll come back with your bidding number and they'll give you your total. So take a pen and paper along with you so you can keep track just to make sure your total and their total at the end of the day match. But I highly recommend that you do that. Then once you get your number, go out and source and look at the products, see what they got, dig through the boxes, rummage through the boxes, whatever. Just try to figure out what's all there and what you're interested in, and then put your game plan on where do you want to start once you see what the auction's going on. And you'll just feel so much more zen and calm at the auction because you're prepared while you're there, instead of getting there when it starts or after it starts and feel like you're being thrown into this chaos. Just go with that program, get your number, get your education on the product, and then pick your position and front of the auctioneer, and try to stay in that general vicinity throughout the auction. That's probably my tips for sourcing at an auction. And
I guarantee you that once you've experienced it, you'll be hooked. It doesn't take long.
So anyway, thank you for joining us. We hope that encouraged you to go sourcing at auctions. And, don't go to one or two and get discouraged. Keep going until you find the ones and the auction companies that you enjoy interacting and working with, and start following them. And you can build great relationships and get great products and find amazing deals.
And we'll talk to you more about...
Stay tuned.
We'll get into a little more detail in these auctions.
For other videos, So hit the subscribe button so you'll get notifications for the rest of the ones coming. All right, till next time, stay awesome, guys.